Hello, my friends. Welcome back. This is third grade, Unit 4, Lesson 6. So we're going to continue with rounding today. All right, so earlier we talked about what is rounding. Rounding is making a smart guess, right? Some people might say an educated guess or an informed guess. Informed guess. A kind of estimating. And last time we talked about a strategy that we can use where we place the number on a number line. So if we have a number like let's say 27, we identify which 10, so like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, or like 150, 160, 170, which 10 is it closest to. So we identify the ones that sandwich it. So this would be 20 and 30. Then we figure out the midpoint between those, which is 25. And then we can figure out where this would go on that number line and then which one it would be closest to from there. So 27, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. 27's right here. Boom. So then the choice between 20 and 30, if we're asking which one it's closer to, is very clear. It is closer to or nearer to 30, right? Another quick strategy that people use is if it says to the nearest 10, they peek over at the place value to the right. So in this case, it's the ones. If we're doing hundreds, it would be the tens. If we're doing thousands, it would be the hundreds. So just the smaller place value. And then you ask yourself, or you tell yourself, 4 or less, let it rest, which means this will stay at the digit place value it already is. We never go down, so this is never going to turn into like 10 or anything. But sometimes we say round down because technically you are going down a little bit, but this isn't going to go to a lower value than it already is. It'll just move this to 0. 5 or more, let it soar. And that means like fly like a bird and go up to the next 10. Okay? So last time we focused on this number line strategy. Today on this one, we're going to do more of this because it is a little bit quicker. If you love the number line strategy, there's never going to be a time when you're not allowed to make a number line and help yourself out. So use what you can. Help yourself be successful. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take this whiteboard away and turn my other light on for you. Right, that might be a little bit easier to see. Okay, so you're rounding these to the nearest 10. So we identify our tens place. It's the 6 in this case. We're looking over at the smaller place value, which is 3. Is 3 4 or less or 5 or more? It's 4 or less, right? So we're going to let it rest at that 60, the current place where the 10 already is. All right, next one. Looking at the tens place, peeking over at the smaller place value, 4 or less. So we let it rest. That's right. 30. If you're feeling good about this, you can pause and see how you're doing with the rest of these 6. If you're feeling like you want to stay with me, you're welcome to stay with me. Okay? 78. Looking at my tens place, that's the 70, so it's either 70 or 80. Is that 4 or less? No, that's 8, so it needs to soar, right? 5 or more, let it soar. So we're going up to the next 10, which is 80. 25. 4 or less? No, that's 5. So 5 or more, let it soar. So we go up to the next 10, which is 30. Okay. Look at that. Ones place, 4 or less. No, 5 or more. Yes, so we let it soar to the next 10, which is 60. Over here. Is that 4 or less? Nope. So we let it soar. What's the next 10 after 80? It goes 90. If you're ever wondering why you had to practice counting by 10 so often, this is like one of the big reasons. Like knowing which numbers are gonna be higher or lower is really helpful in many things in math, but also especially in rounding. Okay. Here we go. 4 or less? Yes. So we let it rest. Over here. 4 or less? Yes. Rest. 90. Okay. Now, that was all 2-digit numbers. Now we're going to start with some 3-digit numbers. We're still going to the nearest 10 though. So even though there is something in the hundreds place, that's not really going to influence if we're going up or down, or rounding up or rounding down. All it is helping us, you know, work with tens that are beyond 100. So we're dealing with 16 tens instead of, you know, just 6. Okay, so here we have 160 or 16 tens. Looking at our ones place still. Is that 4 or less? So we let it rest at 16 tens or 160. Looking at our tens place. Moving over to our ones place. If you're not sure what I'm drawing, I'm underlining and then drawing a little arrow to peek over at the next place. Kind of looks like a smiley face though, doesn't it? With a little dimple. Okay, anyways, I'm being silly. Okay, 4 or less? Yes, so we let it rest, 740. Looking at our tens place, looking at our ones place. Is that 9 4 or less? No, so we go up. We make our tens place go up. So instead of 0, it'll be 1, 310. And stop and think about that for a moment. 309, is that closer to 300 or 310? It's closer to 310, right? 310. So that should be making sense right now. Next one, 255, 255. 4 or less in the ones place? No, it's 5 or more. So we let it soar. That's right, 260. Here, if you're feeling good, you can go ahead and try these next 4 on your own and then hit play when you're ready. That 8, is it 4 or less? Nope, so it's 5 or more. We let it soar, 120. That 7, 5 or more, so we let it soar. But hang on, whoa, this is a 9. What's after 19 tens? 20 tens, 20 tens. So that'll just go up right to 200, right? Okay. Let's look at that. It's got a 0 in the tens place, a 3 in the ones place. So we say that is 4 or less. So it's going to rest at 500. And then right here, that 6. Is it 4 or less? No. Is it 5 or more? Yes, so we let it soar. So 250. So explain your thinking. When you round a number to the nearest 10, how do you know whether to round up or to round down? Go ahead and pause this, write your answer, and then hit play when you're ready. Okay, so we might have come up with something a little bit different, but it should be kind of similar. Let's see. So, I look at the number in the ones place and ask 4 or less, question mark. If it is, I keep the digit in the tens place. the same. If I should be specific, the number or digit in the ones place is 5 or more, I change the digit in the tens place to 1. Oh my gosh, that looks so messy. Place to 1 higher. 10. Okay, so you might have something a little bit different. You might have something the same. That's what I have. If you didn't have anything, you can go ahead and pause and copy this down. All right, let's keep on rolling. Number 18. Oof, papers. Here, I'll just rip it off. The chart at the right, so this chart right here, shows how many smoothies the Juice Hut sold yesterday. By rounding each number to the nearest 10, estimate how many smoothies the Juice Hut sold in all. So 13, is that 4 or less? No, so let it rest at 10. 38, is that 4 or less? No, it's not. It's 5 or more. So we're going to soar up to the next 10, which is 40. 44, is that digit in the ones place 4 or less? So we're going to let it rest at 40. And then 61, is that 1, 4 or less? So we're going to let it rest at 60. So I'm going to quickly add these by doing 40 plus 60, that's 100. 10 plus 40, that's 50. 50 plus 100 is what? About 150 smoothies. Now, it's really important that I include this about, so anyone who's looking at this is going to be like, oh, yeah, she wasn't trying to add all these, she was just estimating. She just said rounded them. Important. Okay, Mrs. Singh had 52 rock CDs, 75 jazz CDs, 36 classical CDs, and 23 hip-hop CDs. Now, if you don't know, a CD is like a circular disc that you could put into a computer or a car or a boombox or something like that, and it'll play music, kind of like how you would have an album on iTunes or something like that, some other music store. So we're going to round each of these to the nearest 10. So we're going to do it over here. So 52, that 2 is going to rest, right? So we're at 50. And I'll check it off so I can keep track of everything. 75 is 5 or more, so it's going to go up to 80. Check that one off. 36, that 6 is going to make it go up, right, to 40. And 23, that 3 is going to make that 2 rest, right? So I'm going to quickly see, oh, 8 and 2, that makes a 10, right? So I can use my make a 10 strategy. So that's 100 for the 80 and the 20. And then 40 and 50 makes 90. So she had about 190 CDs. And if you think about it, CDs are usually, at least when I was a kid, about $20 each. So she spent a lot of money on those CDs. Hopefully they're not too scratched up. All right. Roz rented a video that is 123 minutes long. She watched 48 minutes of it. Round each number to the nearest 10 to estimate how many more minutes she has to watch. So for this one, if we have some minutes she's already watched and some minutes she hasn't watched yet, then all together is the total number of minutes, right? So it'll be the total number of minutes taking away the number that she's already watched to figure out the number that she hasn't watched yet. So we'll do 123, looking at that 3. What are we going to do with that 2? We're going to let it rest or have it soar? Let it rest, right? So 120, and then we'll take away whatever this is. So that 8, is that 4 or less? No, it's 5 or more, so it'll soar to 50. 0 minus 0 is 0. 2 minus 5 is not going to work, so we have to ungroup. So then we have no hundreds, but then we have 12 minus 5. If you're not sure, you can stick that 5 in your head and count down to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. How many more was that? 7. 70, or about 70 more minutes. Okay. Estimate the total number of books the school received. Oh, it says to use the table right here to solve these problems. Estimate the total number of books the school received by rounding each number to the nearest 100. So let's see. If we go to the nearest 100, we'll do that over on this side because I think right here I see it says nearest 10, and then it's going to have us compare. So if we're looking at the 10 place there, that's going to have us rest at 400. And then this one will also go to 400. And so that'll be 800. So we'll say about 800 books. Always labeling. Now we're looking at the 10s. So that 6 is going to make it go to 440. And that 2 is going to make it go to 350, adding those up, 0, 9, 7, so 790 about books. Okay, now we need to find the actual total by doing the real math, so let's go ahead and do that. 436 plus 352, 6 plus 2 is 8, 3 plus 5 is also 8, and 4 plus 3 is 7. So when we rounded to the nearest 10, we said 790. When we rounded to the nearest 100, we said 800. What's closer to 788? 790 is, right? So which of your estimates is closer? When we rounded to the nearest 10. And that's because it's a little bit more specific. It's a little bit more accurate. So this is faster, right? You only have to add one column. This is fast-ish, faster than that, but it's a little more accurate than that. And this is the most accurate, but also the slowest. So depending on what you're doing, it's nice to have those options. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next page. We are deciding if these are reasonable answers, and we're going to use rounding to help us make that decision. And then we're going to find the real answer to see if we're right. So we're rounding to, I'm going to say if it is in the, if we can do tens, we'll do tens. And if they're all in hundreds, we'll do hundreds. How about that? Because it doesn't specify, and if it doesn't specify, you sort of have to decide for yourself. So nearest tens, this will be 90 minus 30 and that would be 60. And then let's do the real math. So we'll do 93, take away 200, not 209, sorry, 29. 3 minus 9 is not going to work, so we have to ungroup, and 8, and then 13. 13 minus 9 is 4, and 8 minus 2 is 6. So it was actually the correct answer, and we'll say yes, because it was very reasonable, so reasonable it was right. Next one, let's go to the nearest 10 on this one. So we'll have 110 and then 60. Now that should add up to 170, right? Let's see. So we're going to say no. 113 plus 57. And I'm putting these in vertical form. It's so much easier to add, I feel, in vertical form. So 3 plus 7, 10. Yeah. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 5 more, 7. Yeah. So our estimate was right on the money, but our person's answer was totally wrong. Okay. 83, take it to 80. 19, take it to 20. That should be 100. They're saying 102, so I'm going to say yes, that's reasonable. And then 83 plus 19. 3 plus 9 is 12. And then 1 plus 1 is 2 plus 8. So put that in the hundreds place, and then we have 102. So they were totally right. Good job, mystery person. Okay. Let's do this whole row to the nearest hundreds just for practice. So 336, we'll go to 300. 258 will also go to 300. Adding those together should be 600. They're saying 594. So we're going to say yes, that's pretty reasonable. 336 plus 258. 6 plus 8 is 14. 1 plus 3, 4, plus 5 more, 9. And then 300 plus 200 is 500, and they were totally right. Sorry, my nose is a little bit itchy. Okay, let's go to the hundreds for this row, as you know, the rest of this row. So 400 minus 200, that should be 200. Let's see, I'm a little on the fence. That's pretty far off, but maybe it's just because we rounded unspecifically to the hundreds place. Let's see. If we have 438 minus 158, 8 minus 8 is 0, 3 minus 5 is not going to work, so that brings us down to 3 hundreds and then 13. So 13 minus 5 is 8, and 300 minus 100 is 200. So their answer was correct. So I think if we were to round in the tens place, we would be a lot closer, right? So we'll say yes. Pretty reasonable. Okay, let's do the hundreds for this one as well. So this will be 400 plus 200 should be about 600. Pretty close. Let's see. 437 plus 199. 7 plus 9, 16. 1 plus 9 is 10, plus 3. And then 100 plus 100, 400 is 600. So we were closer than they were. So we're going to say not reasonable, and no check mark for them. Yeah, we were much closer. All right, let's do these ones to the nearest tens. So 725 is, go to 730. 235 is going to go to 240. I'm going to have to do that vertical form. 730, take away 240 0 minus 0 is 0. 3 minus 4 is not going to work, so we have to ungroup. So that'll be 13 tens, 6 hundreds. 13 minus 4 is 9. 6 minus 2 is 4. So we're saying 490. They're saying 590. So I'm going to say no, especially because we were more specific and went to the tens place. Let's do the real deal now. 725 minus 235. 5 minus 5 is 0. 2 minus 3, not going to work, so we're going to ungroup that. 6 hundreds and 12 tens. 12 minus 3 is 9. 6 minus 2 is 4. So we were right. Our estimation was exactly right, and they're off by a whole 100. All right, taking these to the nearest 10, 249. That's really close to 250. 573, pretty close to 570. And then, let's see, 250 plus 570, 0 plus 0, 0. 5 plus 7 is 12, and then 8. So 820 is what we're thinking. They're saying 822. That's very close, right? So we'll say yes. And then we'll do the real deal math just to double check. 249 plus 573. 9 plus 3 is 12. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 7 more, 12. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 5 more, 8. So yeah, they were totally right. Good job. And then 542, take that to the nearest 10, so 540. 167, take that to the nearest 10, so 170. And they're saying 475. Now, right off the bat, I'm not feeling good about that. Let's double check. 540, take away 170. 0 minus 0 is 0. 4 minus 7 is not going to work, so we have to ungroup. So we have 14 minus 7, which is 7, and 400 minus 1, which is 3. Yeah, they're off by a whole 100, so no. And then the real answer, 542 minus 167. 2 minus 7 is not going to work, so we group. So 3 tens there, 12 there. 12 minus 7 is 5. 3 minus 6 also not going to work, so we have to ungroup. 4 hundreds, and then 13 tens. 13 minus 6 is 7, and 4 minus 1 is 3. Whew! It's a lot of subtraction in that one, but we did it. Good job. All right, this is the last chunk for today, so hang in there, everybody. Dear math students, so this is Puzzle Penguin, and I think this is our first Puzzle Penguin so far this year. So remember, the purpose of Puzzle Penguin in our book is because there's a standard that says kids should be able to explain what someone did wrong in a math problem, but rather than putting kids on the spot and making them feel bad about, what they're doing in class, we have common mistakes that lots of people make introduced by our friend Puzzle Penguin. So just keep in mind, Puzzle Penguin is never right, and if you're thinking he's right, you might be making the same mistake as him, okay? So don't think, oh, he's fine, and just move on. No, Puzzle Penguin had a problem. So let's see what the letter is from our dear friend, our sweet little buddy, Puzzle Penguin. Dear math students, today my teacher asked me to estimate the answer to this problem. Mrs. Smith, oh, that's me, Mrs. Smith's class brought 384 soup labels. Brought in 384 soup labels. Mr. Alvarez's class brought in 524 soup labels. About how many labels did the two classes bring in? And then they did their little sample, and they have their arrows and everything, and they added it up. So they're saying about 800 soup labels were brought in. Is my answer correct? If not, please correct my work and tell me what I did wrong. Your friend, Puzzle Penguin. So take a moment and imagine, first of all, he's doing great for a penguin, but let's help him out. If we're rounding, looks like he went to the nearest 100. That's fine. If we have 384, our options are 300 and 400. We're looking at our smaller tens place, which is 8. Is 8 4 or less? Or is it 5 or more? 5 or more. So he should have brought that to actually 400, right? Then take a look at this 524. Okay, looking over here, the tens place. Is that 2 4 or less? It is. So we're going to let it rest at 500. So then when we go ahead and do our addition, instead of getting 800, what are we getting? 900. So I like to always, be respectful, be polite. So I say, sorry, pal. It looks like you accidentally rounded 384 to 300. It would actually go to 400. If I made a mistake, and let me tell you, I do all the time. I want people to talk to me nicely, and I know that that's what the Puzzle Penguin would like as well, and probably you. So hopefully we can build that habit up for us. Okay, last thing here, jar D. This one has 100 beans. Based on this, we're supposed to sort of visually estimate how many are in the other jars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line across all of those, and then I'm going to take my fingers and see what double that would be, which would be about here maybe. So if this is 100 and that's 200, now I have a pretty good way to visualize these amounts. So go ahead, put down your estimates, and we'll see if we get something similar. So jar A has less, so maybe 50 beans. Jar B has like somewhere between, no, it's about 200, I'd say. And jar C has a little more than 200, so we'll say 250. Now, especially because we can't see how these are piled in the jar, if you had something different, don't stress about it, because it's hard to know, like, is that just seeing through to the other side and this is all flat here, or is it like a physical pile like that? We don't really know. Okay, so that's it for today, and I'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody.